News just in. Yeah, I'm hearing from the crew backstage that Lydia is out of the half marathon. Do not approach her at the gym. Do not talk about running.
Oh, you're all wankers. Welcome back to the podcast.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
We're going straight in for coffee, apparently.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, no, it's fine. No, cool. We've got hopefully a very special coffee today.
AMSR.
Oh, I'm pleasantly surprised. I was nervous about this coffee, and I'm going to tell them why. A very good friend of the podcast.
Yes.
Alberto. Do you know how to say his surname? Zamaniega? Is it? I don't know. I'm so sorry, Alberto. Alberto, who comes to the Run Club.
Yeah.
Good friend.
The goat.
Brought Matt some coffee back from his right.
Yeah, see?
Really? So Alberto is Mexican and he bought some coffee from a cafe roastery in Mexico.
Yes, yeah.
Who we think are called Tzatziki. Everything on the bag is in Spanish. So we're going in a bit blind.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm a bit nervous that it might not be good, but that's really tasty.
Yeah. Smells great as well, which is a big one for me.
That's incredible.
Straight from source as well, right? So it's
Mexican coffee from Mexico.
Grown and
I'm going to try and say where it's from.
You threw it over the wall to get
Jalentenango de la Paz, Chiapas. Which I think, after Googling, is like a small town in the south of Mexico.
that's a lot better than I could have done.
Yeah, I mean, if we've just brutally destroyed it.
Yeah, I'm really
insulted
sorry.
Anybody.
I'm really sorry.
Coffee's great though.
Leave it in the comments below.
And I'm guessing it says honey fermentado en cereza. So I think that means it's honey fermentation and cherry, that means. So
It says bourbon at the bottom, doesn't it?
So that's one of the varietals.
Oh, okay.
So varietals of coffee, like wine, you would have like a Rioja, a Chardonnay. They're different grapes that you plant.
Yeah.
So in coffee, that's the Typica Bourbon Rojo, which I think is they're saying red bourbon.
Yes.
And then one I haven't heard of, which says Marsellesa. I really sound like I can speak Spanish.
Yeah, this I'm
For anybody, it's there's 10% off Babel in the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did do at least 6 lessons on.
Use code
Duolingo.
And I actually have no idea what the flavour notes say at all. I think this tastes like raisins. You know when you get the little box of like, do you remember those?
I used to put them in my cereal.
Great shout.
Yeah. Cornflakes.
What was she? Sunburst, Sunpat? What was she called?
Yeah.
The little
I don't know who she
lady?
was. Yeah.
Sun something.
Made.
Sunmaid.
Sunmade.
That's really nice.
I think I taste like a box of one of those.
I could drink that daily.
Alberto, gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Gracias, senora.
Legend.
Okay. What are we chatting about today, Matthew?
We thought it was a good idea to talk about. I sound very corporate now, don't I? I'm putting my corporate hat on, but like a Q1 review. So last 3-4 months, how have our goals gone? How have we adjusted? What are the challenges that we faced? I think it's good for everybody as well who's listening and watching to just take some time to reset, press that red button, hopefully hear some useful tips and tricks that people can actually act on, which I think is important.
Because obviously, our first podcast of the year was like goals for the year, how to set goals, how to stay motivated. And actually, it would be really easy to just never revisit that again.
100%.
And don't we all do that, right?
Yeah,
and that was the whole point. Like, don't just let it be a New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
So actually, when you said let's do a podcast on this, I was like, yeah, fucking great shout.
Yeah. I've got a good first question for you.
Oh, go on.
Does that version of yourself in January still matter to you now? Let me just get the tissues out. Hold on.
Oh. So I'm someone that thinks about like previous versions of myself a lot, though. Yeah. I would say I haven't differed that much since January, and the things that I said I wanted to do then are definitely still important to me. Yes.
Do you think you've changed? Who am I?
You know what I think's changed is that I think I am genuinely revisiting these goals more, and I don't think I've done that a lot in the past. I think I've definitely been someone who's been like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this year, and really easily just let it not happen.
Yeah.
So actually more and more consciously looking at it. So when I say, I think one of the ones I said was, I want to open another cafe this year. That is definitely still something that's really important to me. It hasn't happened yet for various reasons, some of which are out of my control, and that's something worth talking about as well.
Yeah. Like choice over circumstance sort of thing.
Well, actually, the thing about that is, in this specific scenario, I'm getting like ghosted by estate agents and stuff, to the point where a friend actually said to me the other day, have you thought about setting up a mail email address? Because we've seen those things online about like the different responses you get to male and female email addresses.
Or set up like a fake PA, you know.
Ian at warwickstreetkitchen.com.
This is Ian from Lydia's, you know, personal assistant. We've tried to get hold of you, not heard, you know.
And then embarrass them on social media. Because like, in what world does me being like a multiple business owner for 8 years not get you a reply? I've done a site visit. I've had an extraction contractor come out and say, this is how much it's going to cost. I'm like, great, let's put an offer in. And then...
And just go. It sounds like to me that something else is afoot that's going on.
Also, there was we're going off topic here.
Yes.
So then I just went...
Well, it's still about reviewing and challenging goals and stuff, yeah.
I went on the company website and just CC'd in everyone in the office. Like, yo, this guy isn't getting back to me. Can any of you help me? Have I done something to upset him? One of them got on the phone to me straight away, literally called me straight away, and was like, I'm so sorry, I'm going to try and find out what's going on here.
Okay.
And then that, even in itself, just like dribbled out.
Wow.
I think they're just shit.
Jesus.
And I think maybe the landlord needs to hear about it.
It's bad, isn't it? Because everyone always says that you know, like, what's the typical ones? Estate agents, landlords, they all get a shit rap, but...
Yeah, exactly.
They do, yeah, do yourself some favour,
yeah.
Well,
but sorry, to loop back round, yeah, for me personally, I don't think so much has happened in that time yet that those things don't matter to me or like has changed that much. What about you?
You've caught me out there because I was going to ask you another question.
Damn you! Always going to shine that mirror on you.
So, does that version of me still matter?
Because I feel like you're in like a real state of flux.
Yeah, I think when I take a step back and I look at everything that's going on with like business, like work, my goals that I set out in Jan and stuff like that, I wouldn't say I've hit my goals, but I feel like, to your point, I am on a good run of... I know that my actions are serving me well in each one of those areas. And, you know, being hyper competitive, I do struggle with like not hitting it first time or not doing what I said I was going to do. I think as I've gotten older, I've got better at just pulling back that lever and being like a bit kinder to myself, in the sense of, you know, you might not have just, you know, done what you said you were going to do or raced a certain time or whatever, but you're at least that one step closer than you were, you know, in December before you even attempted to set these goals. I think I've got better at reevaluating where I am and just like surfing it, like rather than like swimming against the current all the time and banging my head. I'm just surfing whatever comes at me, and peaks and troughs sort of thing. So I hate doing this exercise, by the way, but I'm gonna try and do it better. I am happy with with where I'm at, because I am, you know, a few steps further ahead than I was in January.
Yeah.
You know, we went to Toulouse. I raced okay. Wasn't perfect, but I learnt a lot from it.
Yeah.
I'm on my way to running a half in 2 weeks, which is something that I set myself out to do for the first few months of the year. I'm confident that's going to go well. Business is good. It's picking up.
And all because you chipped at these, you kept revisiting and reevaluating these things as you went.
We'll probably talk about it in a minute, but I think it's super important to like make these things real. And we spoke about it in January about like, you know, holding yourself accountable and surrounding yourself with the right people. But like making these goals, no matter what they are, real, and actually writing them down. Like you know, don't get on a laptop. Get a pen and paper. There's something about it.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful. Like just physically writing this shit down, it makes it real.
Also, like, so I've been like journaling every day for, I mean, it'll be a year in May actually.
Oh,
and somebody said to me, "Do you ever go back and read it?" And I was like, "No, I don't actually." And like, not because it's not like, "Dear diary, today I did this, today I did that." It's feelings, it's thoughts, emotions, and it helps me process a lot of things. And actually, that could be a really strong tool if anybody does do that, to go back, because say you were going through something a bit shit, having a feeling of, oh, I overcame that and look where I am now is going to give you perspective and help you feel like, look how far I've come.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll write that down as a little mini goal. Go back and read through some of the old shit.
But like when you look at like, you know, you might not be where you want to be, but do you feel like you've at least picked up momentum in terms of, you know, you've not just like stopped or given up?
Or what are we talking about? Are we talking about business?
Everything, yeah. Whatever you set yourself out to do.
I set myself some business goals and I set myself some fitness goals. Well, the fitness goal was like high rocks to lose. So there was the two. It was the high rocks to lose.
Where you ran a PB.
Where I ran a PB, even with a fucker.
Yeah.
But didn't hit the time that I wanted.
Yeah.
But actually, I'm at peace with that because of this, because of how well it went, because of what I learned, because of so many other factors, and because training went so well toward it. I have become a better athlete, for want of a better word. Yeah. Or we've had talks before about what an athlete is.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to get better at running, which is such a like, that doesn't mean anything. What does get better at running mean? So it was like, okay, let's run a half marathon and let's try and do it in a certain time. That's not happening. I'm injured. I'm not going to be able to run the half marathon. So I'm currently dealing with feeling like a failure for that, which is wild because I'm injured. You can't help that.
And it's a lot of reframing. Like even when you just said that quote to me about I'm going to be a better runner.
Yeah.
That has so many like facets to it. You know, the fact that you've run a high rocks makes you a better runner, and you got a PB.
Sure.
But the fact that you now have to reframe it because of, you know, an injury doesn't mean that in 3-4 months' time you're not going to be that better runner from doing. Do you know what I mean?
I think there's two things there. The one is it's the importance of having a specific goal, because like you say, if I'd said I want to, you know, that high rocks for example, I want my run splits to be faster. That would have meant that I had improved my running or improved my aerobic base, and tick, I did it.
Yeah.
To make that, I would have had a much more accomplished feeling coming out of that if I'd been more specific with that goal. Because like I said, being a better runner is just too fluid. It's just too loose. But then the other one is, if you, and this is something that I wrote down as a big note to talk about, like if you are disappointed that you haven't hit certain goals or targets, is there guilt wound up in there? Do you feel bad? Do you feel like a failure? All of these things. And unwrapping that into, but okay, is it because of either it's not important to you, I know you've got stuff to say about this, is it because you didn't have the right people around you or the right structure, or is it because genuinely something shit happened and something got in the way, and that's okay too? Yeah,
it is really tough because, again, just from own experience and working with people that set targets, it's like you really have to put what you just said into two buckets. It's like either circumstance or choice. So if there's things that are out of your control completely, then that's, you know, it's circumstance, right? You can't do nothing about it. I'm injured. You can't run. And then it's reframing exactly what you just said a few minutes ago about, okay, well, as shit as it is, just because I can't run that race that I've put my, you know, and this is a good thing, it's not a bad thing, but you put your identity into, I'm going to do this. And because you're very much like a type A person of like, you know, if I fucking say I'm going to do things, I'm going to run through a wall.
I'm going to fucking do it, yeah.
It completely like conflicts against who you've told yourself you are.
Actual, like, life values.
And that's what most people don't talk about. They talk about the point where they're just like, okay, well, hold on. I have to, you know, almost fucking self-therapize. That's not even the word, but self.
It is now, yeah.
You know, psychoanalyze myself and go, well, although that is going against my whole fucking being of who I am and what I say I'm going to do, it's putting it in that bucket of like circumstance versus choice. Okay, well, I do have a choice now. I have a choice to either sit there and mope about the fact that I'm not fucking Superman or Superwoman. I feel like she's like, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And it's wild though, because, and this is the circle I'm in at the moment, because actually this is fresh. It's only really in the past.
And it's good to talk about it out loud. Like,
it's only been in the past couple of days where I've really been like, yeah, I'm not going to run this. And I'm in the cycle at the moment of, at the moment of beating myself up about a couple of things. One is, like you say, it's the values thing. On a fundamental level, if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And if I fall short, that's fine, because at least I know I gave it my best shot.
You're so like me.
Right?
I could just feel it when you're saying it to me.
But the other bit I'm giving myself a hard time about, though, is how bad I feel about it, because I've got this whole imposter syndrome around how I train and going to run a half marathon, and like almost like, what right do I have to feel this bad about it? Like, who am I? I'm not a professional athlete. I'm not an elite athlete. Like, this isn't what I do. I run coffee shops. Like, I'm in the gym crying this morning because I can't do what it was I was programmed to do. And then I'm giving myself a hard time, like, why are you this upset about it?
It's like conflicting.
It's more like, is it embarrassing? I don't know. Like I said, there's this whole, I'm still coming to terms with the fact that training is so important to me.
Yeah, that's what the trigger is, I think, personally. Because again, just talking from experience, like, I know exactly what you're talking about, because you know, it goes really deep for me as well, and I'll talk openly about it. It's like, if my life is like, you know, this is how people know who Matt is. He's, you know, the coach, the runner, whatever. But then I go and do that said thing and I do it shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God, am I less of a fucking person? Have I got no identity? Am I fucking... And you're thinking about what other people think about you.
Was that your concern after High Rocks Toulouse?
Oh yeah, it always is. Of course it is. It's always there. It's always there. And I think, you know, and again, we'll talk about this later, but going into like my late 20s and my early 30s, I've started to give less of a shit, because I have, I guess, reframed that, you know, and this goes really deep, because I suppose it goes back down to being like worthy and being a child and all that sort of stuff. And it's just like, well, you know, I was always shown, you know, oh, Matt gets loved and he gets appreciated when he was achieving things. So then you have to unpack all that fucking shit when you're super competitive.
I still love you.
Oh no, mate, I love you too.
I was literally about to say the same.
But it goes that far. It does, and then, you know, you get to a point where you reparent yourself and whatever. And you know this, because you fucking helped me with loads of shit like this. But it's that's what it is, and it's thinking that people will look at you and go, hold on, she's a fucking badass.
Yeah.
And she said she was gonna fucking do this.
But then it's like, I think about, because obviously yours is, I guess, wrapped up in your identity. It's what you've done your whole life, but then also your business and what you coach other people to do. But I know that I would much rather be coached by somebody who's in the fucking arena getting their ass kicked than someone who isn't. Or even like, because a lot of it's like online programming, right? And there's an element of talking to people personally, but I know you have contact with your clients a lot. And it's like, having that understanding of how that feels is so important.
Yeah, it's lived experience. That's what it is.
Absolutely. And like, I have a business coach who's really, really open about the fact that his first business went out of business. And like, he just told me the first time I ever met him, and I was like, I love you for saying that. Like, you've lived the highs and the lows. So it's almost like it's such an important part of the whole journey. Yeah,
because nobody goes through, like, you know, let's say this exercise or sets goals, whatever, and just goes, right, tick, 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 tick.
Of course shit gets in the way.
That's part of, you ever heard, like, the hero's journey?
No.
It's that, I'm going to butcher this again, but it's like a story narrative about, you know, when people make films or anything like that, the hero's journey is you start off of like with your goals or whatever your thing is, and you want to save people or whatever, and the hero's journey is going on that path. But along that journey, the hero dies, then there's a resurrection, and then he finally finds himself or herself, and that's the hero's journey. But it's like a narrative that is in most storytelling. Yeah, I know what you mean. There's a quote from Ted Lasso, which I honestly, hero's journey, Ted Lasso. No, there's a quote where he says, like, we are in our dark forest and fairy tales do not start nor do they end in the dark forest. That's fucking... And I was like, fuck you. Yes, Ted. But yeah, it's that, isn't it? Yeah. And that's the ups and downs of it. Okay, so let's talk about, like, the people, our lovely listeners who may have set some goals then, and they've either revisited and decided, no, actually, this isn't that important to me. Because, like I said, if you haven't hit it,
like you said, is it actually that important to you? Was it a realistic goal in the first place? Have you not done it circumstance? That's a really good word for it. Or have you not done it because of life?
Yeah.
Where should they start in terms of resetting?
I think the first thing you need to do is give yourself a permission to pause and just step
Evaluate.
back. Yeah. And, you know, without going too far off tangent, look at like Rory McIlroy when he won, you know, the Augustus. Is that the right word, mate? You're the golfing guy? Augusta. When he won Augusta.
I fucking cried my eyes out watching that.
And I did, because I looked at it and I was like, that's the hero's journey.
Yeah.
Like, he hadn't won anything for like 10 plus years. He could have easily sacked it in. And, you know, yeah, it's you know, different. But he if you were to look or to read about what he's done, like with reevaluating where he's at, his mental game, focusing on the things that he can control, to finally get to that point where he's sitting there at that table being interviewed and he's like, I've actually lived out my childhood dreams. But on paper, you look at it and they go, oh, he's never going to do it. He's lost. He's not won anything for the last 10 plus years. But I think the most successful people, they pause, because it's the hardest thing to do, because everybody just wants to crack on. And now we're in this environment of like everything is shoved in your face about how well people are doing. And it's just like, we're all on our phones. I'm guilty of it. We spoke about this in previous podcasts where, you know, it's just a highlight reel. And then it subconsciously just wires you to be like, well, if I'm not out there running 50k ultras or doing a half marathon every Saturday, who am I?
I had a conversation with someone the other day actually about why more and more people are choosing ultra marathons. Have you heard this?
No.
So the more something becomes popular, such as a high rocks, a half marathon, a marathon, people get an idea of what is good, right? So you walk into the office on Monday and you're like, oh, I did a high rocks at the weekend, and more people are like, oh, what time did you do?
And you get all this validation.
Right. But because before it was like, oh my God, you finished it, well done. And it was just enough to take part. People were just impressed by that. But now it's so out there, people know that anything over 1.5 hours is this, anything sub 1:15 is this. Actually, pros are doing it in 50 minutes or every 2 seconds. So it becomes less and less impressive. And people know what a good half marathon time is, and people know what a good full, I'm using quotation marks by the way, good marathon, because there is a lot to be said for people that complete marathons.
100%.
But more and more people are choosing to do an ultra marathon, which by definition is just anything longer than a marathon, because people stop asking what time did you do it in.
Because just to do the feat is incredible anyway.
And that's really, I got really sad hearing that story, because I was like, you're just going to go and do a half marathon, which is hard, and you trained for it, and you probably sacrificed nights out, drinking, you thought about what you ate, you went and got help and programming, you set a fucking goal, and then someone can just go, oh, you didn't do it in sub 2 hours, oh, my mate did that, and diminish it in a second.
Imagine somebody who has never ran before and they set themselves the goal of doing like couch to 5k, and they run a 5k and it's everything to them. And I've got clients like this who have never ran 10k, and I shout about it because it's so damn impressive if you're not, you know, part of this world where, like you say, unless you're running ultra marathons, you're not accepted or you're not doing well. Like, that's fucking impressive. Show me somebody who's never ran before and has just completed a 5k continuously. That's impressive. But like, to your point, everybody else will be like, well, did you not break 30 minutes? It's like,
no, I just fucking did it.
I just fucking did it. And that's what we need.
And I really
celebrating
respect
success.
I respect that. One of the managers of one of my cafes, Meg, shout out Meg, has just started doing couch to 5k.
Sick.
And she like tagged me in her first Instagram video.
I think I saw this. And you were like, fuck you, because I can't run.
Fuck you, But I was so proud of her, because that's something that's so wildly out of her comfort zone.
Can I just pick up something? I don't know this girl, and I guarantee you have had some effect on her doing that. Yet you will sit here and go, I'm pissed at myself for not fucking running a half, and you know I'm right. You know what I mean? That like, if you was, it's hard. Like, you know, perspective is easy. Hindsight's easy when you fucking looking back. But that person who, you don't come from a running background, you've absolutely chucked yourself in at the deep end. Whereas most people wouldn't even have the bollocks to fucking do it in the first place. And we spoke about this at the start in the other podcast, like having the guts to fail. That's what most people don't do. But then what comes with that? I might get injured.
Yeah.
I might get fucked off with myself. I might not hit that goal.
Yeah.
But I'd rather go out in a fucking ball of flames than sit at home and not try.
Yeah.
And that's what the reframing of success should look like. Not so rigid as, right, I'm going to run a high rocks in I'm going to do this half marathon. You know,
the journey.
The
journey is the thing. Yeah, man. I'm not going to cry, by the way, man. Stop it.
I'm trying. It's not working.
He's trying.
Okay, come on.
Yeah. Push it. Come on, push.
I was actually thinking.
Zoom.
Yeah. Pause, slow motion, and sad effects.
I didn't even cry on our wedding day. I'm not crying now.
You were saying that earlier about doing something out of your comfort zone. That's what that Chad Wright does. I love Chad Wright.
Yeah.
Who's Chad Wright?
Obviously, he was on my mate's podcast, Nick Bear.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Besties.
But he talks about he signs up for like
Crazy shit.
mountain bike races,
Yeah.
and he's like, I've never fucking cycled before, so I just show up at this race with this crap bike, and he's like, but I want that feeling of failing, because the more I do, the less I lose that feeling of failing.
Yeah.
So that's really important as well, looping back to anyone who is thinking, oh shit, no, I didn't do that thing I said I was going to do. It's like, just sit in that feeling for a minute, pause. That's really powerful to reevaluate why.
Yeah. The whole thing about like writing, we talk about the power of like writing stuff down and pausing so you can really reevaluate, because you know, look, if you're the same person that you was in January, it doesn't matter, but I guarantee you're a little bit different, and most people, you know, are, but it's about like writing down those goals and reevaluating how you want to feel rather than achieving those goals. So it's like, if I want to, I wrote out back in January how I wanted to feel by like a certain time in the year, rather than actually just a stiff goal of, you know, sub 60 high rocks, whatever, half marathon. Do I want to do a full marathon? Yes, they're important because they're an end goal and they're tangible, but like looking at it like almost like a storybook, how do I want to feel? And then aligning the habits and values to get to those goals. Like, those goals are just like, they're just like checkpoints across the way. But if you focus on how you want to feel, and then when you're reevaluating stuff, you're like, well, actually, I did inspire that person to go and run her first 5k. That is an absolute win. Or, you know, I did do the high rocks. Okay, this month I'm not doing a half marathon, but I am living the lifestyle and practicing the habits that will get me to that end goal in the long term. I think is really important.
An emotion as a goal is a really interesting
idea. It is, because 100%.
I've never thought of that before.
Yeah.
I think like it's probably because how I feel day to day can vary so much. Well, not so much. I'm not like an emotional wreck. No comment, Ian. But it can vary, can't it, day to day, based on sleep, on various things. But I guess if you sort of like monitor it over a period of time, that's really powerful.
And it goes back to, I don't know if you want to talk about it now, but that
writing.
I love the word storytelling, because I think it's so powerful. But like that storytelling of like writing to your future self.
Right. So where this comes from is, I think it's really important to, because I was this person 9-10 months ago who doesn't know how to set goals. It's really daunting.
Yeah, and everyone talks about it. It's like the big things.
Yeah, like, oh, you should set goals and you should do this. And it's like, you ultimately know that you want to achieve things, and you have ambition about anything. It could be fitness, it could be business, it could be home, family, where you live, anything. Everyone has an ambition for something. You don't know where to start or how to set a goal. Because it seems so daunting. And like, to say, for example, I want to run a 10k you've never run before, or I want to move house, you don't have a single penny saved. It's like, how the hell do I get there? So I think what you were mentioning just then is, and this I think this is the most powerful exercise I've ever done, is write to your future self, but like 5 years, 5 years in the future, because that's really far away and there's not much you can't change in 5 years. So like, it's the 1st of January 2030. Morning, Lydia. Happy New Year. I am living in X, whether it's a house, a flat, a country, a town,
Barcelona.
Whatever it is. Or I work in this industry, or I've started this business, or I don't know, what else could it be? I ran a marathon last year. Anything. Like.
And the more, for me, whenever I've done this exercise, the more specific you can get.
Right.
Even like, you know,
what the room looks like, what you're looking at.
I wake up every morning and I drink a certain blend of coffee.
Yeah.
I spend 10 minutes journaling. My German Shepherd comes in the morning and I start stroking him.
What's he called?
Oh, fuck knows.
Come on, specific.
Is that his name? Fuck knows.
Yeah.
Fuck knows. That's his name now.
Do you know what? I don't know. What would I call it? It wouldn't be a German Shepherd.
I think it has to be fuck knows.
Yeah. But it's, like that sort of thing.
So there's your massive, big, scary end goal. But then you can break them down into smaller things. Like, okay, so let's use the place you were living as an example. And I think the savings thing is a really interesting goal. Because I'm someone who, I'm fucking shit with money. If left to my own natural devices, I will just spend until there's none left. And then I'll just sit on my hands and do nothing for the rest of the month. That's just how I could live. But then actually, you know what? These online banks are really good at this because they gamify it in a way. Like we bank with Monzo, but you can literally see all the different pots. It's like a holiday pot or a house pot, and they'll tell you if you save £1 a day for this long, this is how much you could get.
It's like compounding
interest.
Yes, yeah, it is.
Our friend Tom Morgan, the financial advisor, would love you for that. So that'd be like, okay, so by 2030, I need to have saved X amount of money. And you can break that down into really bite-sized chunks. And then so the same with the fitness ones, and you'll have much more to say about this. But if it's like a really big, scary goal of 10K, you don't just go out and run 10K, right? It starts so much smaller.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack with this, but everybody's different. But with the goals thing, like definitely writing it down, because people will say, even clients, like, I've got a goal of losing X amount, and then you start unpacking it about, well, why does it have to be?
Why that number?
Why £10 and not 11, or why not 12 or whatever? But for me personally, I'm quite a visual person, so I like to put stuff on post-it notes.
Right.
So even if when you wake up first thing, if you've got those post-it notes like on your fridge somewhere in eyesight where you'd see it, it's like a good reminder. But I think that's the best place to start, like just writing it down, because you are right. When you say to somebody, what are your goals? People can say it out loud, but then it's like, well, what do you do? How do you get there? What do you do? Do you write it down? Do you not? Do you just think about it? How do you remind yourself of it when you feel shit and you don't want to do what you need to do? So it's those sort of cues that I think are useful.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think what's really great about that, like in 5 years' time thing as well, is that's when you could bring that emotion thing in.
Yeah.
Because say there's something you're really unhappy about, it could be huge. I was speaking to someone the other day who was like working towards divorcing their partner, which sounds huge, but like, don't worry, Ian, you looked up really panicked then.
Yeah, I won't divorce you.
Thanks, man.
Which sounds huge, and you're like, why can't you do it just now? But like, there's loads of other things involved. I mean, that's huge as well, though. It could just be I'm unhappy in my job, or I've got this person in my life who makes me feel bad. Anything. Yeah. That's where emotion could be like, I don't have that thing in my life anymore. And you didn't realise it was bothering you so much until you started writing it down. We spoke about it before the podcast started, but I'm part of this mentorship program, and goal setting is a big part of it. There's an exercise that I do, and I think everybody should definitely do if you want a place to start, is write down 3-month, 6-month, 12-month and 24-month goals. Within each one of those periods of time, you should write down a goal that you think is just like comfortable or achievable. So if you were doing the same sort of habits that you're doing right now, you'd easily hit whatever that goal can be. It can be monetary, it can be how you feel, it can be going somewhere, doing something. The second one within those periods is to write down a goal that is highly unlikely. So something that, yes, would stretch you, it's probably out of reach, but if you really nailed down the things you need to do, you could probably do it, right? It involves a bit of behavioural change.
Yeah. And then the third one is to write down an absolutely outrageous goal. So something that nobody thinks you could do. It's completely like, until you prove yourself wrong, it's completely out of touch. The power of writing down those things for each one of those time periods is crazy. I love doing it.
What do you think the power of writing the sort of like really crazy one is?
Because it causes you to question it, and it causes you to think. And I think writing the crazy one down, whatever it might be, it's that classic scenario of like people underestimate what they can do in 3 months, but always
overestimate what they can do in a year.
Yeah. I think that's just like human nature, because we've got a lot of biases. We've got things coming from, you can't do that. You can't, do whatever you set yourself do.
Do you think it's to normalise talking about wild goals, though?
Yeah, because, yeah, I do. To answer the question, I think I think as a society as well, we're always neggy against people that are super ambitious.
Yeah.
I think in other environments and other countries, they're like, fuck yeah, let's go for it. Absolutely, take that risk and ditch the fucking husband, or ditch the job and go and try and build a business or whatever.
I don't want to be pro-America for anything right now, but Americans are absolutely like that.
Yeah.
If you go out there and you say, I'm going to start my own business, they're like, oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Whereas here there is a lot of fear, a lot of like, oh, what if it goes wrong?
I'll tell you a good example. If you ever go to like a family party or you meet friends and they go, what do you do? And you try to explain to them in the less awkward way possible, I run my own business, or I'm trying to do this. They'll look at you and go, good luck with that. Like, they just don't get it, or they won't understand.
We have members of extended family that don't understand what I do at all,
I don't think my parents understand what I do.
I don't think I do.
You don't understand what I do?
No.
But it's just those, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You ever been at those, like...
Yeah, definitely. Oh my God, definitely.
Family
all the time.
things, and like, if you say, like, what I'll say this out loud now. One of my biggest goals is to write a book.
Yes.
I'd love to like write. I think I'm good with words. I think I'm good at storytelling. So I'd like to do whatever. I think I told my dad this once. Shout out, Dad. And he's lovely, but it was just like, he just didn't get it.
Yeah.
What do you mean you want to write a book?
Why?
How you going to do that?
Okay, well, Matt, we need to break that down into bite-sized chunks, don't we?
Let's write it down.
Let's write 100 words a day, or whatever it is.
But yeah, it's just it's stuff like that that's interesting. So.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Also, I just want a final note from Lydia. I think we need to revisit the accountability partner thing, because if there was a goal that was really important to you, and if you've really stripped it back and you've really thought about why you haven't got any closer to it, nothing massive has happened that's got in your way or anything like that.
Yeah.
Did you just not say it out loud to the right person?
Yeah, there's we spoke about it. Surrounding yourself with the right people, asking for help is another big one, which I think a lot of people are just so anti-doing. Whether it's a goal or they'll just guess their way to trying to do it. And writing it down and reevaluating where you are and hitting the pause button, because like, I don't know if I said it at the start, but I think people are in two camps at this point in year. They're either in the camp of you took action, you've set yourself some goals, maybe it didn't go to plan, but you've got loads of energy because you surround yourself with the right people. You've got your Google Maps of life to know where to go. You've got direction, just like you would in any other area of your life. Like, I sent out an email the other day that was exactly to this point of like, you wouldn't just guess your way to a destination. You'd find your directions, you'd find the quickest way possible. It should be no different to any goal that you set, whether it's moving house, whether it's getting hold of a landlord, do you know what I mean? A fitness, whatever. Or you're in camp number two, where you've got to April, you're staring down a wedding or a goal that you want in the next few months, and you're just like, shit, I'm nowhere near where I need to be, because as life does, it's got in the way the last few months, and you're in a really weird grey space of like, I just haven't got a fucking clue what to do, which I think a lot of people are in, and then they start panicking and then
spiral totally.
So this conversation is good because people can understand what they can do to press that reset button and press pause, and I think that it's so going slow is so underrated. It is,
You're still moving in the right direction.
You're still moving in the right direction.
I'm going to take so much from this for myself, and I'm going to say it to both of you guys out loud, because you're probably two of my closest accountability partners, because where I'm at right now, I was talking about it earlier, I've got a hip injury, and even though I feel like I've really wound back over the last 3 weeks, it doesn't seem to be getting any better. So this would be where, classic Lydia, I would just spiral and start eating like total shit. Like, all of the training will just go out the window, because it's like, well, what's the fucking point? And actually, that pause and thinking, okay, what can I do? Getting the right advice about what I can do. That's the goal.
Yeah, the journey continues.
Continues.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for watching and listening to this episode of the podcast. That was a really great conversation.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. Make sure you like and subscribe as well.
Please do. And drop us some comments if you have resonated with anything in this episode. Let us know what you think and if we can help in any way. Catch you next time.
See you later.